What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Eagles post-game show here on the RTB Philly Sports Network, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Chris DiFrancesco. Johnny Mack is in the building with us immediately after the Eagles' Week 1 victory. Everyone take a deep breath. We all got out of Brazil with a W. It was sloppy in parts. It was very ugly, but fact of the matter is the Eagles are 1-0. They beat the Packers 34-29 down in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It was I would say it was not the greatest start. I mean, just right off the bat, John, it looked like please, for the love of God, don't just pick up where we left off last season.
Just goes back to why aren't these guys playing preseason? Obviously, the defense, they looked really sharp the first couple drives. Where all the defensive starters minus Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat and Slay, pretty much Slay. Most of the veterans didn't play, but majority of the defense was playing in preseason. The offense, it's gonna look rusty and shaky because they're not playing game speed at the majority of the time during preseason. And they only did one joint practice this year, right? One? Yeah, just one this year. So it's like, these guys got to play. You got to get up to game speed and ready for the opening season. And just the way this new philosophy with football is, they don't play preseason. No one does. There's not many organizations that do.
I mean, it was stunning when we all talked about how Patrick Mahomes was taking snaps in the preseason, but nonetheless,
got old school coach there though.
Yeah, I know. Saquon Barkley, a massive game.
Suck it, Giants fans. Suck it.
Jalen Hurts, we're gonna go over that. 2 horrific interceptions. However, and I said this. I said this to my dad right before the game ended. As terrible as those 2 INTs were, one being the awful one in the end zone, and there should have been another one on the sidelines on the screen pass to Dobson, but thank God, that was dropped, so that could have been 3 easy ones right there. But the awful one in the end zone, thank God, Hurts was very, very clutch in that last fourth quarter drive to get Elliott to get to those final 3 points to put the game away. Saquon 3 TDs, a 67-yard touchdown pass to AJ Brown. And I will say, even for the most part in the first half, Vic Fangio's defense was terrific. I mean, magnificent, especially the fact that the game started, John, the way that it did for it only to be 6-0 at one point was almost like a modern miracle.
Yeah, at times Saquon Barkley was spectacular, but when the team needed to stop, the defense was there. I mean, Hurts to that first interception, and they held him to 3 points. Like, that was huge. That other time they got inside the 5-yard line, defense held them for another 3 points. They had some stops at some critical times. I think on the fumble, they didn't even score off the fumble, did they? I don't think they scored a touchdown. Was there a touchdown on the fumble?
I don't believe there was a touchdown on the fumble, no.
But they came up with, stops at the right time, and that's what you need. When you have an offense like this, who we expect to be a high-power scoring offense and score 30 points a game, which they, even though Hurts had 3 turnovers, which one I don't really count the fumble as his turnover, but that was more of
Right.
That was just a miscommunication. You can't really blame,
very much
whose fault it was, but it was more miscommunication there. You can't really blame him for that. But even with 3 turnovers, they scored 34 points. I mean,
exactly.
The defense just has to come up with key stops throughout the game right now. And that's what I expect this defense to do at least halfway through the year, because they are very, very young. Besides Slay, Brandon Graham, I mean, who else really is, over the age of 30 on this defense? I mean, most of the guys are really, 26 or younger.
For sure. Let's just real quick talk about parts of that defense. Zach Bond
looked phenomenal.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Over the fucking place.
11 tackles, 4 assists, really 2 sacks. Dude.
Well,
Yeah, we're
But
not going to be seeing much of Devin White, my friend.
wow, what a wow. I mean, even Dean, he had flashes. He wasn't consistent all game, but there was flashes where he was making some big time plays. He almost had a pick
Yeah,
six.
yeah.
It's shame
For,
that's why he
oh my
plays.
God, that
And
would have
that's why he
been.
plays defense because he obviously can't catch the football. But he had some, in a couple that third down stop where he just blasted
Yeah,
their backup running back. Was it Mitchell? Is his name?
yeah.
Mitchell? No,
If
Emmanuel Wilson. That's his name.
Emmanuel
Blasted Emmanuel
Wilson,
Wilson in the
correct.
backfield for a third down stop. I mean, he had some nice spots there and flashes there, which hopefully he can grow on that and be a better player. But Zach Ball was that he might win at this point. He's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Week. I mean, unless somebody else has 3 sacks, 3 sacks and a forced fumble or something, or somebody has 3 interceptions. 2 sacks and 15 total tackles. I mean, that's a candidate right now for Player of the Week, in my opinion. That was an
I'll tell you, if
unbelievable
the
game by him. He was all
uh,
over the
dude,
place, man.
everywhere. Almost every time I saw a play in the middle of the field, I'm like, oh, Zach Bond's there. How about that? well, it's good to see him again, right? I'll tell you what, if the Kobe Dean takes that ball all the way for a pick six, Devin White's going to be coming up with a lot of ghost injuries for the next few weeks because he's just wasn't. I mean, look, I think Devin White lost the job outright to Nakobe Dean anyway, but still, that was
which is weird too, because he was the only guy. Every time he was on the field, he was getting first team snaps during training camp, the whole time.
for sure.
First team snaps. So it's a weird, it's a very weird, was fine all training camp, and then just injures his ankle this week. It's very weird. And there was the talks that they might trade him because the linebacking group was such a strength that they felt like they could trade a Devin White away. But it was very weird to see him not being out this week. I mean, but he could be. I'm assuming he's injured. I'm not gonna say he's faking anything, but this just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then so let's kind of start going over some like specific players and what we saw. And I of course, and I said it at the top of the show. We got to start off with talking Jalen Hurts here. Look, he did some really good things. Really good things. He threw for 280 yards. Really nice touchdown. I mean, he threw a dime to Saquon Barkley in the end zone.
That was a beautiful ball. Beautiful.
Oh my God. Literally the only spot that Saquon would have been able to catch that ball. The 67-yarder to AJ Brown. He made some great plays, especially in that last drive in the fourth quarter.
Some plays with his legs. Making plays with legs. Yep.
Exactly. That last clinching drive.
Like, looking at at times when he throws these interceptions, he's trying to do too much, and he feels like he needs to play a little bit of hero ball, and he kind of forces those interceptions because they were both on third downs. I mean, he was trying to extend the play and continue the drive, and sometimes just live to fight another day where you just you throw that ball out, you punt it, and they worse field position than they already did. Thank God the defense on the first interception, you held them to a field goal, and then thank God the defense came up big again late in that game after that interception in the red zone. But yeah, it seems like, when that pocket collapsed, he's looking to make a play and sometimes just forces the ball too much. And it's, hopefully it's something that can work out. But I mean, Dak had unbelievable numbers and threw a ton of interceptions. And that offense with the Cowboys under Kellen Moore looked phenomenal. And even Justin Herbert at times threw a ton of interceptions last year, and he was still looking good. It's the interceptions that hurt the team, which really hurt the Eagles last year because the defense was so bad. Once you do through the interceptions, like the game is going to get out of hand, and the defense couldn't come up with those key stops.
Well, look, this is kind of my points with these INTs. We all get it. Anyone who's watching this show right now live on YouTube, again, like, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. I'm going to get all that plug in real quick. But both of the INTs that he threw Friday night, man, they were pointless throws. They were forced throws, like you just said, the same shit that we saw the last 6 or 7 weeks of last season. They were throws that were into traffic with little to no chance of being successful. The first one, again, let's go back to that first drive. Look, they had terrible field position. I get it. Why are you? I don't know if that was I'm guessing that was the play call. Why are there two? I don't want to say deep balls, but 15, 20 yards down the line. Why are those throws being? Why is that call being made? It's
still second down on the 5-yard line. Why can we just signed a guy to a shitload of money? Why don't we just let's run it again. Even though he slipped on the first
Exactly.
time, but let's run it again. Let's see if we can get something going. But then they kind of
Or you have two speedy wideouts who can run slants, and you have two guys that can sit in the slot, or even a nice big tight end who
I
can
don't
catch a
I
six
don't
to
get
8 yard pass. I don't
I
get
don't
it.
get it because every time sometimes you see AJ on that slant, he gets the ball like on its 10 yards. Like I don't understand
Exactly.
well,
Always.
until
Yep.
they like it seems like when he does run that route and he gets that ball,
Yeah.
he's it's I don't know
Yeah.
why that's not a consistent more thing ran, but I mean
It
I know
was
what he Jalen Hurts is
uh,
trying to he's trying to make a play every single time he's on the
but
field,
he
and
doesn't
he's
but he doesn't have to.
yeah, that's the thing. He wants to just make the play, and sometimes he needs to just live the fight another day, punt the football, kick the field
Right.
goal. But
And
and the AJ and the last interception, in my opinion, if AJ doesn't slip, the ball is going to be an incomplete pass. In my opinion, it
agreed.
was a forced ball. I don't think
Right.
that ball was getting picked. That ball either going to be caught by AJ or it was going to be an incomplete pass. But he slipped, and that's what kind of led to it. But again, he needs to limit those. It's game one. You came out to win, and I wouldn't even say this is like it was an ugly win, but it wasn't like last year because it felt like the
It
Eagles,
was sloppy. That's
it was a
all.
slot. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
sloppy. No preseason offensively. They were sloppy. The defense I think is they're going to get better as the year goes on because they're so young. I trust Fangio. And to to get these guys ready for the postseason, kind of like what we saw with Spagnuolo 2 years ago with that
Yeah.
Chiefs defense, where they were just super young and they're like, how are the Chiefs going to win the Super Bowl? This defense is just not good. And then all of a sudden, last like 5 games the playoffs came, they were a lockdown defense, and that carried
Yeah.
into the last season where they had a great defense. The defense was
Yeah.
great, but you're right. It's just I was hoping to see
My,
no interceptions from them, and I was
yeah,
hoping to
I
see
was really hoping for no interceptions, and boy, that just bit me in the ass the first drive of the game. And I mean, I still didn't panic at that point. But I look at it this way. Again, the first one, he lofted that ball up into a crowd of like 3 or 4 different guys, so that ball was getting picked by somebody. The second one was at the Packers' 14-yard line, with the Eagles needing a field goal for it to get an 8-point lead at that point. And then he tries to force, like you were talking about, he was forcing this ball to AJ Brown in the end zone where everything is really condensed. Guys, don't stay open very long, especially guys like AJ Brown in the end zone. And I look at it this way, man. And this is the 5th year for Jalen. He's got 17 interceptions in 18 games since the first game of last season, after throwing 6 in 2022. This, like, some of these throws, though, man, are QB 101 type stuff. And I know it's a new offense. I get it. And that's why I'm not panicking right now. But if I'm seeing this in week 5, 6, 7 and beyond, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean that the last interceptions is a real problem because it's late
That
in the
last
game,
one pissed me
and
off.
those
Yeah.
ones you really don't want to see. I don't care too much about the interceptions. I care about when the interceptions are, when you're turning the
That's,
ball over.
of course,
That's
for
what
sure.
really. And that last one was like, you're only up 6 at that or 5 at that point. It was
Mhm.
31-36, 31-26 at that point where you can't throw. You got to get the field goal. You
Yeah.
cannot turn the ball over right there, and he did. So that's the one bad one. The first one you can live with. It's early in the game. Mahomes threw an interception early in the game. He threw. Mahomes is good. Mahomes throws interceptions all the time, but you know what Mahomes does? He wins the game when it matters. He puts the team on his back. You know what you have Mahomes when you go into that fourth quarter. You have Patrick Mahomes, and sometimes I feel like that with Hurts. Maybe not the arm wise, but I know the guy's going to put everything he has on the line. And he just, for some reason, he finds a knack to put the team in the right position late in the game to score a point like that last field goal. He
Yeah.
carried the team on that last drive to get them down the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of talk about a couple other guys here, we kind of talked about the importance of us of AJ Brown and Devontae. AJ goes 5 for 119 with a touchdown, and Devontae Smith, man, he might have had the quietest 7 catches for 84 yards you're gonna see. He made so many big catches tonight.
And they were
He
all
had
great
that.
after the run too. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
couple. He ran like 5 yards back, ran around 3 defenders, and went through the first. I mean,
yeah. He's
I
just
think he's gonna.
incredible. Yeah. He had that
AJ, but I think
16.
he's just gonna have a ton of success in this offense. I think this
Yeah.
the way this
Mhm.
offense is catered,
Yeah.
it's for him, and we saw it with Keenan Allen last year. How he had a career year last year, and he missed 3 games too, and he had a career year. I mean, it was
It,
unbelievable what he was doing last year, and I can see that happening with Kellen Moore in this offense as the year goes on.
yeah, Devontae was so crucial and integral in that final drive. He had that 16-yard catch on the 2nd and 13, and that 11, I think that 11-yarder on the 2nd and 8 on that final clinching drive. He's just so damn smooth. And what's so great about him is he's so clutch. You know that if you can get the ball in the vicinity where Devontae's going to be, he's going to make the catch. And it's, again, 7 for 84 isn't super flashy on the scorecard, like you see with AJ going 5 for 119 and that big 67-yarder. But man, without Devontae and a couple of those catches, I shudder to think if that's a W.
It's a luxury to have those
Absolutely.
twins. It's a true luxury. And I
For
want to talk
sure.
about one of my, probably the most positive thing and the most thing that I loved about the Eagles ran the ball for 38 times. I mean,
Yeah, I
hallelujah.
was gonna. So in
Hallelujah.
in our in our preview show, I specifically came on here and said I think that the best way the Eagles can get a win is if Saquon has more than 18 touches. Well, thank God he
26.
had 24. he
But
had
20,
he
if you
had
count the 2 catches too, it's 26
right.
total time. I mean,
So he had 26 total touches, 3 touchdowns. He should have gotten the ball on the 1-yard line on the final drive. So just say, instead of a touch push, I would have loved to have seen a fourth touchdown out of Saquon. But John, what was your thoughts on what you saw out of Saquon? There was a point where I thought he wasn't getting the ball enough, and then that changed. But what was your
yeah,
thoughts on
early on,
Saquon?
the first 2 drives we saw, he kind of like got the trip up and then didn't see the ball again the rest of that drive. The next drive, he got the first run, didn't really see much, and they kept throwing it again. And then the third drive, they came around when they got the ball back again. It
Yeah.
went back to the same thing. We're like, oh, it's first down, and here's a pass, and then he finally got going, which was like unbelievable. I was really worried. I was like, oh my god, they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna run the ball. They're down 6-0. Jeffrey Lurie's down there. He's like, Nick, we need to throw the football now. Given his classic phone call that I'm sure happens. I mean, we need to throw the football. But then once he started going, and dude, some of those runs when those holes opened up, I'm sure he hasn't seen those holes since he was in college. I mean, dude, he fucking
No chance.
flew. I mean, I truly believe he's not Christian McCaffrey, but I truly believe he's gonna have that effect on this offense. And if Jalen Hurts
He
can protect the
absolutely
football,
is.
he is so dangerous. You have to load the box against him because he can blast through that hole, and that's just gonna make Goddard better. That's just gonna make Smith better. That's going to make AJ better, and then vice versa. They're going to make Saquon look better because you have 2 studs on the outside. You have a good tight end. It's going to make the whole offense. It's going to make Jalen look better if he protects the football. Which, besides those 2 throws, I saw him throw a lot. I saw him throw the ball away a lot more today, which was more encouraging. But maybe stop forcing some of those balls that he tries. He tries to do. It seems like he's forcing those balls on third downs and in earlier downs he's throwing the ball away, and I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think it's just him trying to play a little bit of hero ball on third down, trying to force a throw in there to try to get the first down, which he kind of just throw it away. Live to fight another down. Live to fight another down. You'll get the ball back. Have faith in your defense. And sometimes it could be the same thing that was going on last year, where the defense was so bad that him and AJ Brown, they were, the reports were that they were just went on their own and were, kind of just playing, improv a little bit on the field, trying to play hero ball, and that's what you saw a lot. Hurts throwing a lot of those picks down the field. Let's have faith in this defense this year. I think as the year goes, it's going to grow. I didn't love what I saw from the offensive line. I mean, the defensive line today. I think I saw that Nolan Smith and Josh Huff combined for 1 pressure today, which that just can't happen from those 2. You're a first round pick in Nolan Smith, and we just paid you $74 million or what's 70 to Huff.
Yeah.
You guys got to get after the quarterback. I mean, Zach Bond, I think, had the only 2 sacks today. I mean, that's a linebacker.
I mean, Bryce Huff had an assist on a tackle. Other than that, I mean, we saw nothing out of Nolan Smith. It was, Jalen Carter, except for the 2 big penalties that he had. He didn't do anything.
Davis
Josh
looked
Sweat.
good early on those
Yep.
first couple of drives.
Yep.
Davis looked, all right, but
Quinyon Mitchell looked really good.
he looked good at times, and
yeah.
at times, and the D-backs looked good at times, and then sometimes there was miscommunication on some of the coverages.
But,
you saw that big play by Reed, which he kind of just ran across the entire field uncovered, and then Blankenship kind of picked it late when he actually caught the ball.
We'll get to him in a minute. Blankenship, I thought, played a really good game today. But yeah, kind of going back to Saquon, what I really liked about the Eagles offense was I love the play calling with Saquon in the second half. They rode the hot hand, which is something they didn't do a lot of last year. I mean, they didn't have a Saquon Barkley, but going 24 for 109, John, with Saquon, if you take away the 5-yard loss from the very first carry of the season, the very first play of the season for the Eagles, and he's averaging 5 yards a carry the whole entire game. He's the first Eagles running back since with a 3-touchdown game since Boston Scott against the Giants back in 2019, and the first Eagle with 3 touchdowns on opening day since the man Terrell Owens back in 2004, also his first game as an Eagle. Saquon looked, I think, better than advertised. We didn't really know what to expect out of Saquon because we didn't know what kind of game plan was going to be for the guy, because Kellen Moore historically as an offense is a guy that loves to throw the ball. But tonight, man, everything was looked pretty split. You had 24 carries for Saquon, 34 pass attempts for Jalen, but also he ran the ball 13 times. So I thought the offensive distribution and the play call in terms of the run pass ratio, which is something that we've been complaining about for years, that to me is how it should be. Correct.
And that's what the problem was last year. And even when, they knew Hurts was going to throw, they knew what was going to happen. They knew they weren't committed to the run. I think this year they know they need that. That's why they went after Saquon Barkley. That's one of the reasons. You need to have that threat. Even if it's a weird game where you're going 70-30 passing the football, there's still that threat that Saquon Barkley is going to get a handoff and just break one. Like that's why. But I do. You don't pay this dude and you don't use him. Like you're paying him. What is it, the third or the second highest paid, running back in football history? I mean, they're going to use him. You don't pay the dude and not use him.
Agree. Please, tell me I'm not the only one who had a lump in his throat when he walked off the field in the second quarter.
Oh, it was the second or the third touch. Was that the second or third?
I thought it was the second quarter because I know they came back out in the second half and he came back out. I thought it was the second quarter.
Maybe it was
when he went off the field. Didn't come back in for a dry until the.
He needed a blow. He was working his ass off. He needed a blow. Give him a little rest. Let Gainwell get a. Gainwell came in, caught a pass for 10 yards, had a rush. Let him get a little blow. That's what's gonna happen. He's gonna get a blow here and there. Let him. He's not. You don't expect him to play there in the full game, but he looked spectacular. It was.
Yeah.
It felt really good to see him. It just felt good to see the guy just change the game. How dynamic he is in the field. I mean, other than Darren Sproles, I don't. Who the hell is catching the football like that? Westbrook could. McCoy wasn't catching the football like that in the end zone. I'll tell you that. No, but McCoy was a hell of a player. But I don't think he was catching a ball like that. And I don't even know if Westbrook's catching a ball like that in the end zone. Maybe Sproles because he was such a good pass catcher. But other than just what a catch and what a throw on that first one. I was so excited on that one. That was awesome. And then just to see him get in the end, that 11-yard run where he just bursted through that hole, man, and just went right into the end zone. That was awesome to see. And then even the last, the 2-yard run, he kind of bursted through that and to get in the end zone for his third touchdown. It was awesome to see how they highlighted him as the offense, and it just felt right. That you pay this guy the money, and we're gonna let him be the star of the show.
For sure. If you guys are just joining us now, this is the instant reaction post-game show for the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 1 here on the RTB Philly Sports Network. Eagles are 1-0, beating the Green Bay Packers 34-29 down there in Brazil. Now they have quite a few days off before their actual home opener in week 2 Monday Night Football against the Atlanta Falcons. John, another guy that we are going to talk about, we'll wrap things up soon, but Reed Blankenship does not get enough credit for being, the term gets thrown around sometimes, but the dude's a ball hawk. I mean, that third quarter INT off of Jordan Love was massive. That was his 5th career interception in just 26 games, including 20 as a starter. I felt like the dude was all over the place tonight. As much as Zach Bond was everywhere, I felt like I was too. Yeah, I felt like I was just seeing number 32 all over the place. He had 4 tackles, 4 assists. He had that big INT. I'm not sure why the guy gets so much hate, but I think
he's a white cornerback. He's a white QB, I know. Man. They don't want to show him love yet. It's
fact of the matter is he's a playmaker.
Yeah, he's a playmaker and a ball hawk, but he's not a great coverage safety. But he's a great, he's great at getting up to the line of scrimmage and stopping the run. I think that's why he doesn't really get the love. And he's not a superstar. He's a good, solid football player. That's really what he is, and I think that's why you don't really see the love. He's a quiet player. You just don't. That's what he is. He's a quiet playmaker. He makes the plays here and there. He does the right things all the time. He's a good, solid player, and he's another one of those guys that he's a Nick Sirianni guy, man. This is a guy that I'm pretty sure. I think Nick Sirianni's college teammate or something was the coach at Middle Tennessee, and Blankenship was a free agent, and Sirianni went to Howard and says, we need to get this guy because it was just one of those guys where, Sirianni had a connection, like the Quinyon Mitchell thing where, or Sirianni's buddy's the coach at Toledo.
Yeah.
He said, you need to draft. It's the same thing. I think they're just one of those players that, are just, just good dudes and you're going to do the right thing all the time. And same with Quinyon Mitchell. Like knew you were getting a good kid and he's going to work his ass off every single day. I think that's what we're seeing with Blankenship, like how hard the dude works and how he had a earn his spot to make the roster as a rookie. He was not given. He was an undrafted free agent, and he earned that spot. Now last year he had to earn that spot to be the starter at safety, and even this year he still had to earn that spot to stay out there because they brought in a ton of defensive back. There was times where Maddox is playing safety. There was times where Bradbury's playing at safety. The rumors that the Gene might be the future safety of this this club. He had to earn it again, so he's driven to, he wants to be here and play every single day. And I think that's, that's what we're going to see out of a guy like that.
I agree with you, but I will say, overall only 2 sacks against Jordan Love tonight. You upset about that? Were you hoping for a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm disappointed. Yes.
A quick yes on that one. That's how I feel as well.
I'm extremely disappointed in the defensive line, the entire defensive line.
Me
Besides
too.
When Jordan Davis made a couple great run stops early in the game. Even the first play of the game, he was in there, and then I don't know if it was the second drive, but he made another good play too. And let's go.
Sure.
I think Carter had a tackle for a loss too early in the game, but I mean, I'm. It didn't hurt. The defense line didn't hurt him today, but there's going to be times where you play Patrick Mahomes, you need to sack that guy. We're going to play Dak Prescott, you need to sack that guy. We're going to play Brock Purdy, you need to sack that guy. Matthew Stafford, I mean the Rams have high hopes this year. You need to sack that guy. Jared Goff, you need to put these guys on their ass. You need to put them on their ass, and that I'm very disappointed in how they played today. It was one of my question marks to going into the year. Was how there were so many. Could Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, can they play a full season and be explosive? Because at times you see the spurts with Davis, how good he is good at stopping the run, but can he do it for a full year? We saw Jalen Carter for the first 8 games, and he looked like he was a lock to win rookie of the year early on in the year, and then he kind of just hit the tank ran out. Can he do it?
Literally fell off the face of the earth. Yeah.
Same thing with Bryce Huff. The dude's being paid like to replace Reddick, and Reddick was playing 50 snaps a game. Now this guy has to, he needs to be playing 50 sacks at a high level and stop the run and sack the quarterback. And that's what we're paying him doing. And Nolan Smith, you're a first-round draft pick. You're a first-round draft pick.
Yep.
It's your second year. It's time to be a first-round draft pick. It's time to get after the quarterback. It's time to show why you were drafted there. And, Josh Sweat, you want to get paid. You want more money. You need it. You need to go out there and prove,
man.
You've had success in this league before. You've been you've gotten better and it's gotten better each year. And then last year you kind of took a downfall. You need to get back to that level. And then I'm not really going to put anything on Brandon Graham. I mean, the guy at this point, he wanted his farewell tour because not many guys, Kelsey didn't want to obviously flush. Some guys want that farewell tour, and he's a bleed green, true Eagle, lifer. He's never going to want to play there. I'm sure he's going to be there. He's going to be like a Mike Quick and Ike Reese, all these guys who are always, Harold Carmichael, all these guys who are always coming back and coming back and coming back. He's going to be one of those guys who's going to be with this organization for the rest of eternity. But I'm not expecting anything big from him. I'm expecting him to be.
Brandon Graham had more tackles than Bryce Huff and Nolan Smith. So
yeah, he did. He had one tackle, but I'm not expecting anything from him. I'm expecting him
to it's great. That's the problem. It's a problem. That's a problem.
I'm expecting him to be the veteran leader of this ball club. He's 36. What is he? Is he 35 still, or is he 36?
35. He'll be 36 soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a 35-year-old veteran, leader of this defense, leader of that defensive line room. I expect him to do that and get these guys ready to go. And these guys need to get on their asses and get going and get after this quarterback.
Yeah, it's worrisome because, for those who don't pay attention to the schedule, look at the schedule. Green Bay is going to be one of, if not the best team you're going to play this season. And when Bryce Huff, Nolan Smith, and Josh Sweat basically put up zeros in the box score, that's a problem for me. I mean, these are the kind of teams that you want to shine.
Pressure. They had one combined.
Terrific.
It can't happen.
And two of those guys make a lot of money.
Yep. Now it's game one.
Game one.
It's game one.
I'm not going to be super negative in game one.
There's room for improvement. Like I said before, this defense is young, and I expect them to not be great early on. I expect them to get better as the year goes on. I expect them when it comes time for when this team is good. The Eagles are going to make the playoffs. I mean, I don't. I mean, anything less, I will snap my computer. It's going to be horrific if they miss the playoffs. It's going to be awful. It's going to be devastating because this team, by the time the playoffs come, this team, I expect Fangio to have them ready to be a playoff defense, and I think they will. And I'm not expecting anything big early on. And honestly, the craziest part, if I was in the pregame show yesterday, I should have came on. This was actually going to be my score. This is going to be a prediction for the score of the game. I thought it was going to be a 34-29 game. I wish I came on and said that.
I had them at 31-21 Eagles.
I thought it was going to be a 34-29 game, but a little different. I thought that when they got to 29, they were going to go for 2, and that's why then they didn't get the 2 point. I thought it was going to end, but obviously, everybody's going to think I'm lying, but I actually thought it. I should have texted somebody and told somebody. But in my head last night when I was thinking, I was like, I think it's be 34-29 Eagles win.
You should just tweeted it out and we could get a screenshot.
I should have.
Do that from now on, just so you even know.
I thought that was. But this is the only time I ever predicted a score right in my entire lifetime, too, which is funny.
And so let me just say this, and to be fair, as much as we're kind of ripping guys, like Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat and Nolan Smith, to be fair, it should have been 21-0 Packers in the first quarter. But the Eagles' defense was absolutely a brick wall for the first quarter and a half.
They made this. Winning defense makes the necessary stops when you have to make those stops, and that's what they did. When the Eagles started scoring, they gave up touchdown here and there, but the Eagles offense answered back. But when the Eagles offense needed the defense to make a stop, they made those stops. And that's why that's why they won the football game.
Absolutely.
Even with the interceptions, the offense was still great today. Saquon was awesome, but the reason why they won the game is because the defense made those necessary stops.
Absolutely. This was one of those games, John, where where things just kept going wrong. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, like Murphy's Law. But to me, it was so encouraging. It's almost as if the Eagles were able to exercise their demons from last season because they still found a way to win this game. They had 3 turnovers. They were called for 7 penalties, which I felt like there was a flag on every damn play of the game.
Dude, I was watching last night when I was watching last night's game. I wanted to bang my head on the first 2 drives. I'm like, dude, is this seriously going to be the all year where these penalties are crazy?
Yeah.
Because even this new rule with where the tackles have to line up and the linemen have to line up with the center. I mean, it was. I'm like, oh my god, like it was like it felt like by the time tonight even felt like that too. These penalties are it's ridiculous. It ruined some of the excitement of the game because, this game ended almost at 12 o'clock tonight. That's a long game. And it gets
that
so
third quarter
boring.
Felt like an hour and a half.
When,
it's so
when the
long.
flags are coming in, the game gets so boring. And it's like,
Yeah.
Oh,
And like I said, like to be able to come back, the grit that this team showed for 60 minutes, the defense gives up two big touchdowns, including that big 70-yarder. Neither of their edge rushers were able to have a sack or even a quarterback hit. They fell behind four separate times. And again, this is probably one of, if not the best team the Eagles might face all season. And they found a way to walk out of here scoring 34 points and get that opening day win. Just very impressive all the way around, John. So before we get out of here, I'm pretty sure I know the answer because I think we have the same thing. Who was your MVP of week one?
Saquon Barkley.
Oh wow, I thought you were gonna go Zach Bond.
No.
All
The
right.
guy had 100. The guy had what do you have? What was it? He had 23. So
24 for
he
109.
had
24 for
he had
yeah, 24 for
32. He had
109.
132 total
Yeah.
yards and three
Yes.
touchdowns. I mean that dude.
Yeah.
That he might win Player of the Week at this point. I mean, but we
Yeah.
might have the offense and defensive Player of the Week. Possibly. I wonder if
It's
Lamar
wild.
would they Lamar could win it still too. Lamar had a really good game the other. Besides that second to last throw where he completely missed Zay Flowers, which was a horrible pass. But he had a really good game yesterday
I
too.
mean,
But I don't know if will give it to him in a losing effort.
I
So
mean, he
that's the
ran the ball really well, but he was 26 of 41. It's not like, he did, yeah, he went 16 for 122,
I think he
which
was.
is
Well, I think
disturbing.
what was he? I think he was the first football player ever to have 120 yards rushing and 250 yards passing in a game yesterday. So
That's crazy.
that's
I would think
that
I would think Vic would have done something like that, but I guess not. Um,
I think the problem with Vic is if he had one or the other. He had the rushing yards that day, or he had the passing
Yeah,
yards.
Vic
That
wasn't going to get 250 yards passing in a game if he was running the ball like that. But all right, yeah, I got to go with you on that one too. As much as I want to give to Zach Bond because I love a good defensive showing, dude,
he
Saquon,
had a
man,
lot of
coming in
tackles,
here,
man. He
he
had a lot of
really
tackles.
did. He was all over the place.
Like,
But for Saquon to come in and completely just he just rejuvenated that offense. It seemed like every time he touched the ball in the second half, he was just bringing that offense, back from the dead. My biggest worry coming out of this game is the offensive line. I thought that offensive line collapsed way more times than I can count on Jalen Hurts.
at one point, of course, they're probably not even going to credit Lane Johnson because they refuse to credit him giving up sacks at this point.
I
The
saw him
guy
get
can't.
blown up twice tonight.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
and one time was for a sack, so it's like,
Yes.
but it's like now it's the question now. Do we got to draft a guy for a replacement for him and get rid of him at this point? It's going to be because he's
Well,
not young anymore. He's still good, but it's like
I
it
know,
was
but
like
let's get to the
that
other
right
17
side.
games first.
That right side was a real question. Yeah, you're right. They had. And Hurts can't navigate the pocket yet, I think, and that's the thing and I don't think it's because he can't do it. I think it's because when that pocket collapsed, his first instinct is not to navigate the pocket; it's to where's the open spot to run when that
Well, I
pocket
feel like
collapses.
he's learning now on the
He's
spot on
trying.
how to navigate the pocket now.
He's trying to, but
Yes,
just doesn't quite have it because his natural instinct from doing it for so
is
long is like
to take off.
once that pocket collapses,
Yes,
he
yeah,
wants to
yeah.
take off. And I think you're right. They're trying to make him a pocket passer, which they should because it's going to lengthen his
Agreed.
career a ton. And you don't want to. You also don't want to take his running ability away because that's such a huge strength to his game too. But sometimes when that pocket starts to collapse, he looks lost. And even on the interceptions he threw, that's when the pocket. That's when he threw the interceptions. He was trying to force a
Right.
throw on third down both
Exactly.
times. So that's
Yep.
what. Yeah, it's on the offensive line. You ultimately lost two offensive linemen in the offseason. You lost the
You
center and
did.
you lost the right guard, and you're replacing them. Even though Jurgens was on the team last year, he wasn't playing that position. So it's a
No,
new
he was
position.
not. Yeah.
Give it to Lane Johnson's working next to a new guy. Beckin's playing in a brand new position. He was a left tackle before. You have two guys
Yep.
kind of playing brand new position, even though Stern played it
Yep.
in college. But at the NFL level, it's his first time playing center. Full time the NFL level. They need to learn. Obviously, Hurts and Jurgens had the miscommunication, which I love seeing. Hurts, they went right to the sideline. And Hurts, it was great leadership out of him. They went to talk about it and fix that thing, which you really never saw from Hurts. majority of the time. Usually you saw Hurts, me mugging on the bench, that's just who he was. But it was good to see, encouraging to see something like that. But you're right.
Yeah.
We have to give him time.
Dickerson's
Dickerson's a monster. I don't.
He's
care.
incredible.
That guy, he is an absolute freaking monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. You got Lane Johnson who's older. Sometimes commits too many penalties. That's what holds him back a little bit sometimes. And then you have two guys playing new positions in the NFL, which is they're learning on the fly.
And I'm not going to make excuses for him, but let's kind of rewind and remember that 95% of these guys didn't play a snap in the preseason. And the first time they're playing a football game, they're traveling 10 hours in an airplane to Brazil to get ready for the opening game of the season. So that's why I want to kind of calm down a little bit, not worry. I don't have any real worry coming out of this game because of the situation and the circumstances around this one. Let's see what happens in week 2, Monday night in the Link against the Atlanta Falcons. And that's where we're going to be gearing towards now. If you guys are watching on YouTube, thank you very much. I see that we have well over 250 people that are joining us live right now. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you're on our YouTube channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications when we're going to be going live or just a new show drop. So we're really grateful for that. Our next show will be sometime next week, probably late next week, because it is a Monday Night Football game. So look for a live stream previewing said Monday night game, week 2 of the Eagles going up against the Atlanta Falcons. We will preview that game next, probably Friday or Saturday. Most likely we'll see what our schedules here look like, but there will be a show, and then we'll be here post game, maybe at some point.
I personally would like to do them on Sundays, the pre-games. That would be ideal, like right before.
That would be, ideal.
If we could figure that out, how to do, we could do that.
For sure,
but sometimes it doesn't always work that way, but that would be that'd be the future for us to try to do them pre-game,
absolutely
pre-game, like an actual pre-game preview show.
Especially since this team plays Sundays a ton of four. Yeah, the team plays a lot of 4 o'clock games, so getting a pre-game show might be really cool.
Yeah.
So I'll keep everybody updated. I'm going to the Monday Night Football game at the Link. So, if it is a blowout, hopefully on the Eagle side, I should be able to get home in time.
Kirk's playing. We own that motherfucker.
Yeah, I should be. Yeah, it's true. I should be home in time for a post-game show. If not, it just will be a few minutes late, but we are going to have one regardless. So thank you guys so very much for joining us. This has been the Instant Reaction post-game show for the week 1. Philadelphia Eagles beat the Green Bay Packers 34-29. They are 1-0 on the regular season, and Nick Sirianni is now 4-0 in season openers. So good for him. Congrats to that. John,
for all our fans who watched the the season preview show with the Cowboys Taker podcast, Aaron and Jason, you can suck it because you both thought the Eagles weren't beating the Packers. Just so you can both suck it.
Already a good little rivalry starting there. It's going to be good stuff. I can't wait for the text from Jay. All right, for Johnny Mac, I'm Christy Francesco. This has been the RTB Eagles post-game show, and we'll catch you guys here next week. And as always, go Birds.